Hey everybody, welcome back to In the Gutter Let's Talk Comics. I'm Wade, and today we're going to do part 9 of the Screenwriter collection, and we have box number 20, which was a box of Avengers, and box 21, which was marked Aliens. So lots of fun stuff in these. Check them out.
This box is marked Avengers. Alright, let's start out with Avengers King Size Annual 8, Avengers 218, 239, 300, Avengers 1 and 1 half, West Coast Avengers Annual 4, Avengers 400, 402, Avengers Time Slide, don't see a number, Avengers 1, 96 series, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, could be a lot of this, 12, Avengers Rough Cut 1, I believe is what that's called. First issue of Avengers New Series, number 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 13, new series of Avengers number 19, Avengers number 1, number 2, 3, 4, The Last Avengers Story number 1 and number 2, Avengers Disassembled 500, Avengers Disassembled 501, 502, 503, Heroic Age Avengers 1, Narwhal Now Avengers 1, variant cover number 1, number 2. This looks like a reprint of Marvel True Believers Avengers with Taskmaster. I forget what number that was originally. This one with Red Guardian. Free Comic Book Day Avengers 1. Siege Aftermath Avengers Prime. Okay, so Avengers Prime 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Avengers War Across Time. Avengers No Surrender 675 with a 3D cover. 676. Ultimate Avengers, or the Ultimates, number 1. Avengers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. New Ultimates 1. Uncanny Avengers 1 and 2. New Avengers Illuminati 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. New Avengers Illuminati 1 regular series, I guess. New Avengers 1 shot. New Avengers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52. Hero Cage, the New Avengers number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And last but not least, seven, 8, 9, 10, 11. All right, so New Avengers number 1, number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. New Avengers Annual number 1, 2. New Avengers Avengers Finale. I'm not quite sure which series. And Avengers Classic number 1.
All right, we had the Avengers box, which had Avengers in it. So let's take a look at some of the highlights. So one of my personal favorites, going back to 1983 and the Assistant Editors Month at Marvel Comics, featuring the Avengers on Late Night with David Letterman. Always a personal favorite of mine. Love the show, love the Avengers. Perfect combination. Here we have the Ultimate Avengers number 3 from 2009. It's the first Monica Chang as the Black Widow. We also had New Avengers number 7. It's the first team appearance of the Illuminati, which is Professor X, Doctor Strange, Black Bolt, Iron Man, and Namor. And then New Avengers number 11, Ronin Part 1, which is the first Maya Lopez as Ronin, formerly the character Echo. Very nice cover. New Avengers 35 features a Venomized Wolverine cover. Pretty formidable foe, mixing Wolverine with Venom, I think. New Avengers Secret Invasion. New Avengers 40, which is the first, I don't know how to pronounce this, Varancy, the Skrull Queen. I'll fix that in editing, don't you worry about it. All right. New Avengers number 7 features the 2013 issue with Wakanda declaring war on Atlantis, as seen as in the MCU. New Avengers number 8 has the... Sorry, couldn't read my own handwriting. Its first partial appearance of the Black Order and Cull Obsidian, or also AKA Cull Obsidian. The first Proxima Midnight, Black Dwarf, and Ebony Man. Since these are all kind of on the same run, number 9 has the first full appearance of the Black Order and the first Supergiant. And number 10 has the first Thane, who is the son of Thanos. And then we have the New Avengers Annual number 1 from 2006, which features the marriage of Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, which was officiated by Stan Lee. Oh, sweet. All right. The next box up we have is labeled Aliens. Let's take a look.
All right. This box is an Alien box. super cool. I already pulled some stuff out of the back because it was just too full. So we'll start with Aliens. Multiple series, so I'm just going to read these off unless they're titled. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 variant. Alien 3. Aliens Dust to Dust number 1. The original Dark Horse Aliens miniseries 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Dark Horse presents number 24, which I believe is the first Aliens. Aliens Vampirella 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Aliens vs. Predator 0. Aliens 1, 2. Aliens Dead Orbit number 1, number 2, 3. Predator number 1 with a Scotty Young variant cover. Got some Godzilla books. Godzilla vs. Hero 0. Godzilla King of the Monsters 1. Godzilla King of the Monsters 0. Godzilla 2. Godzilla King of the Monsters 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Godzilla Kingdom of Monsters. Godzilla the Half Century War, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Godzilla in Hell, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Godzilla Rage Across Time, number 1. Godzilla Cataclysm, number 1. Gamera, the Guardians of the Universe, number 2. 1. Kong of Skull Island 1. Halloween Night Dance, which I assume is 1. Let's see a number. Probably 2. Most likely 3. Halloween 30 Years of Terror. Pinhead number 1. Clive Barker's Hellraiser number 1. Hellraiser Nightbreed Jihad. I guess that's a one-shot. Yeah. Book 2 and book 2. Here's book 1. Yeah. Friday the 13th, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Friday the 13th, Pamela's Tale, number 1 and 2. Friday the 13th, Badland, number 1, 2. Friday the 13th, Abuser and the Abused, number 1. Friday the 13th, Special, number 1. Bloodbath, number 2. Jason X, Special, number 1. Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Freddy, number 1. Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ash and the Army of Darkness, number 1. Jason's vs. Leatherface, number 1, number 2, number 3. Nightmare on Elm Street, Special, number 1. New Line Cinema's Tales of Horror, number 1. Leatherface, these are North Star editions, 1 and probably 2, number 2. Black Science, number 1. Let's see a number. Oh yeah, 2, it's in the circle. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Bug, The Adventures of Forager, number 1, Oh Kill Strike #1, Pumpkinhead #1, Black Pearl signed by someone. Is that Mark Hamill? Looks like it must be Mark Hamill. That's cool. Creepshow, Tales of Suspense and Horror. Gideon Falls #1, Zombie World #1, Gotham City Monsters #1, Dollhouse #1, Spook House #1, #2, #3, George A. Romero's Empire of the Dead #1. Oh, come on. Vampirella Rebirth #3. Toe Tags featuring George A. Romero #1. The Monster Men must be #1. I can't find a number. Nocturnals signed by Dan Brereton. Deathbed #1. Alice Cooper: The Last Temptation #1. Alice Cooper #1. Tomb of Dracula 22, 24, 25. Werewolf by Night #13, 19, 27, 38. The Monster of Frankenstein #1. The Monster Hunters in the Marvel Universe #4, #5. Creature from the Black Lagoon one-shot. Monsters Unleashed Monstrum, The Dweller in the Black Swamp #1. All right, then there were some loose comics that I don't think were related. They look like they filled in the box, so here we go. Deceased Dead Planet #5, Deceased Dead Planet #6, Deceased Dead Planet #7, The Deceasing, which I guess is a one-shot. Batman Reptilian, Book 2, #1. Batman: The Adventures Continue, #1, #2, #3, #4. Batgirls #1. Batman Catwoman #2, #3. The Scumbag #1, #2. Aquaman #55. DC Horror Soul Plumber #1, #2. Deceased Dead Planet #1, which looks like a Blade Runner. Deceased Dead Planet 2, 3, 4. Sinister War #1, Suicide Squad #2, and #1.
The box labeled Aliens had aliens and a lot more. We'll start out in no particular chronological order to the Alien series with a 2021 Alien #1 with a Peach Momoko variant cover. Really nice. Travis Charest variant edition of an Alien 1 from 2022. And then this was interesting. It's a 20th Century Fox uncovered Alien 3 unproduced screenplay by William Gibson, Johnny Christmas, and Tamara Bonvillain. Boy, Bonvillain, that's a pretty cool name. So apparently this was a version of Alien 3 that didn't get made. I'd hate to see the one they decided not to make based on how Alien 3 was actually made, but the comic could be fantastic. I'll have to check it out. And then what I think, so in my youth, there was always some confusion as to what was the first appearance of aliens in comics. And I guess historically now it's been verified that in 1988, the 6-issue Dark Horse miniseries, Aliens, was the first appearance of aliens in comics, where it had previously been believed to be Dark Horse Presents #24. I assume one could look at the month and the year that it came out, but maybe the published information is different than when it actually circulated, because oftentimes the cover dates are different than the actual dates. Not quite sure, but back in the day, this was always the first appearance, and this was the second. But apparently, we were wrong for all these years. Again, something you can look up on the internet in your free time. Sorry, I gave you homework. All right, moving into the next little batch of goodies here. Had a lot of horror comics after we get through the Scotty Young Predator. Can't have a box without a few Scotty Young variants in this collection. And just a few notable Godzillas. We had Godzilla vs. Hero Zero, Godzilla and the Half Century War, And this series, which I thought had really cool covers, and I want to dig deeper into it, from IDW, the Godzilla in Hell series, obviously with the EC motif, but there was homages to different books. Then IDW did Godzilla Rage Across Time, first issue there. And then if you're not cool enough to afford Godzilla, you got to go down a notch to Gamera. But he was my favorite flying turtle as a child. This is the Guardians of the Universe miniseries, 1 and 2. And then we get into the horror stuff. Just grab a few things here real quick. So this never was a genre of comics I collected. I mean, obviously early EC horror, and then with the Comics Code, it got pretty mild for a while, and then there just wasn't a ton of it during my heyday. But with the licensed properties for all the horror movies, the Screenwriters collection was chock full of goodness. So we had the Halloween 30 Years of Terror. Well, I guess there were Clive Barker properties from Epic, now that I think about it. So Hellraiser is in there from Boom Studios. And then there was a Friday the 13th series from Wildstorm, which had some short stories in it. So this one I think is like a Friday the 13th regular series, but there's also this one that was called Pamela's Tale, which has a multi-colored image, which is nice. And then Friday the 13th Badland, number 1 and number 2, which if you look closely, it does not have a multi-image cover for 1 and 2. And then we had some mashups from Wildstorm with Freddy versus Jason versus Ash. Now you're speaking my language. There's number 1, number 2, with Jason coming out of Freddy's eyeball and Ash coming out of Freddy's mouth. And number 3, which looks like a straight up brawl. Fun, fun, fun. And North Star Publishing, who is the publisher that famously brought you Faust, also had the rights to Leatherface. And we had the Dave Dorman painted cover on this one, and I can't quite tell. Ruhelli? I know, sorry, I didn't look it up, but oh no, you know what? I think it's Burwell. It just got cropped. So if you cut the bottom of B, it looks like an R. That's the problem. Really nice paintings too. Good covers. Sure, lots of blood. Who doesn't love that? And then a few odds and ends in the box. So he had a signed copy of The Black Pearl, signed by Mark Hamill. And I challenge you to find an unsigned copy of The Black Pearl #1 by Mark Hamill. And then Creepshow's been making its way around again. This is the Heavy Metal Comics Comic-Con exclusive edition. Not quite sure of the year, but that's a nice one too. And then a little side note to go out on. So Tomb of Dracula 25. Okay, so this is the first appearance of and origin of Hannibal King, who is an ally of Blade, and a somewhat key issue in this series. The comic book itself is not in perfect condition, but being that it is from 1974, as many of you know, you have to take a look for this. And what this is, if you can see, backing board behind it, is the Marvel value stamp has been removed. So for a couple years, 2.5 years, the Marvel value stamps crossed into many different Marvel comics and were pretty popular. So they were removed and put into a collector's book. And I guess if you got the whole set, you could get Comic-Con passes or merchandise and trade it in, kind of like the old like green stamps we used to have as a kid. I'm trying to think of what other, but it was a promotional craze that went in the 70s, and so Marvel took advantage of that. So when you buy books of this era, you always have to look for the value stamp, and you are often disappointed to find a hole cut in it. But one thing I did figure out that is a sort of a psychological remedy is if you get yourself one of these. So what this is a Marvel value stamp book. This is the first series, or Series A, and if you look inside, someone destroyed 100 pretty nice comic books to get this together. Did a really nice job of cutting them out and pasting them up. Okay, so that takes care of the first 99, and then the big reveal was Galactus was number 100. And then the person didn't actually turn it in to get anything. So that's kind of crazy. But it says, now here's a specially reserved space for something Marvel boosting at a comic conventions to do their thing. So you can go to New York, San Diego, or other. There were marvelous bargains other than discount conventions. I'm not sure what these exactly were, but there was a through F that you could maybe, like a passport, get it stamped and get discounts and things, I think. But considering comic books cost 25 cents back then, you got 10% off on a comic book. That would be life altering, wouldn't it? But anyway, the point is, anytime I come across a Bronze Age book that has the value stamp cut out of it, I feel a little less bad about it because I have all the value stamps in my collection. So for whatever psychological reason, it cushions the blow just a little bit. Yeah, and you can find these. They're not terribly unavailable. All right, well, those are two pretty big boxes this go. So I appreciate you tuning in and checking it out. So we have a few more boxes to go through, more highlights to share. And until next time, keep your mind in the gutter.